He did believe me, and we are we are dealing with land. You heard about that, environment. I want to concentrate a little on natural resources, which is dealt with in chapter 5 of the Constitution. You've heard about these people. They all are very important people. Those are the collaborators in RRI. Please join the Alumni Association, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. We have been very quiet about them, but they are also partners here. The team members you have been told about, and we are honored. As far as I'm concerned, the Constitution has a preamble, 18 chapters, 264 articles, Jauko, kweli wrong? And at the end of that, they have 6 schedules, which again touch on a number of these articles. So one preamble, 18 chapters, 264 articles, and 6 schedules. As far as I'm concerned, the more important parts of this Constitution come first. And I divide it into just 2. Chapter 1, or the preamble, chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For me, you can throw the rest of the Constitution away. Because those 5 chapters give us the ideal that I would like to live in, the country. Then from chapter 6, where we have leadership and integrity, all the way the president comes in at number 9, chapter 9, the judiciary, the devolution in chapter 11, public service, public finance. Everything else after chapter 5 has to do with duty and duty bearing and the money. And yet this is the part that most people concentrate on. Who shall be elected, how much they shall earn, and they waste our time. What we want to achieve in this country is in preamble, chapter 1 to 5, period. Jaoko took you through the preamble. That is really a wonderful summary. And please note about the respect for the environment, which is our heritage, me and you, and we are determined to sustain it for the benefit of future generations, you students included. A lot of us live for today. There's so much greed in this country. Your grandchildren are entitled to the land issues, to the environment, and so on. It's a wonderful little thing that was put together. And I was delegate 481. That is also the truth at Bomas. Now, chapter 5 of the Constitution is divided into 2 parts. Part 1 is land, and my colleague has dealt with it very, very clearly. That land is divisible into public land, community land, and the individual private land. That is how the tenures are. Part 2 of that chapter is on environment and natural resources. Article 62 defines natural resources to be public land. And if, Madam, we can just end here for a minute and go to something that I rather like. If you go back to that same, go to this article, the first one there, the 62, article 62, up there, open that one. Because we are having quite a bit of an argument now, even with the Ministry of Land. And you know their minister, who is the minister here? Honorable Charity. Now, if we do this so that we can be 100%, it says, Article 62, please pardon my reading, public land is. Then we go to the party here that I have put in red. Public land is, or minerals. And mineral is defined by law. Which means that when I find oil under your land, that oil is public land. Going wrong? Maybe that's my view. When we have government forests, Those forests are government land. I have discovered something that I would have dropped if I was to visit. Government game reserves. What some people are doing in this country is to establish private game reserves. They stock them with our animals, elephants, buffalo, you name it. And then poaching takes place in the government game reserve. So in a few years, you will have no elephants left in the government game reserves. You will have to go and see these animals in private land conservancies. And you will find a big sign saying the management reserves the right of admission. Mary, this is serious. Game reserves, government game reserves. What about the animals in there? Are they government public land? And water catchment areas, national parks, government animal sanctuaries, all roads, thoroughfares, all rivers, lakes and other water bodies are public land. The territorial sea, the exclusive economic zone and seabed, public land, the continental shelf, and so on. This, to me, is the basis for what we are discussing, and I can see people leaving. Let's go back to this one here. Is that the one? Okay. So, if you read Article 62, it says public land, because these resources are public, shall vest and be held by a county government in trust of the people, and shall be administered by who? Honorable Charity Ngilo? No. By the National Land Commission. That's what the Constitution says. So all this argument that is going back and forth concerning even issuance of title deeds, concerning management of minerals and these other natural resources, is, I think, misplaced. The National Land Commission is the administrator of public land in a county. And further down, public land, including the minerals and oil that we have found, shall, it's the national government, but shall be administered by the National Land Commission. Now, it goes on to say public land, this is our land, by the way, yours and mine, because it is we the people. Public land shall not be disposed of otherwise except in the town's nature. But then it says National Land Commission is established under Article 67. And now they use the word manage. And those of you who are in this college, College of Architecture and later Engineering, you need to interrogate these professionals to tell us they have used the word administered. What that means? We are being given a blank check here as professions, and what manage means. And among other things, you can do research on land use and natural resources. Father, just to make sure there is no mischief when it comes to the management of natural resources, and we have found a lot of oil, we are going to find terrific amounts of oil in this country. And water, but oil first, water equal, mingi. Parliament is responsible for ratifying grants or rights or concession for exploitation of any natural resource in Kenya. So we will not have these backroom agreements anymore. We want to know who has the concession for which block of oil and for which amount of gold, and Parliament, if they can get their act together. Now, that definition was given in Article 260, what land is. I love it. It starts with the surface and subsurface rock, water, and so air, then even the air above it. And natural resources, the definition is wide, again, sunlight, the surface groundwater, forest, biodiversity, genetic resources. Wangari Maathai had a lot to do with this article, by the way. And she was very, very keen to ensure, and also rocks and energy resources. Now, Kenya, 582,000 square kilometers. You are there 230 in the exclusive economic zone, and I have been a member of a task force which we initiated from our college. I playing a big part. I got my order of the Grand Warrior from there. We are even claiming further land beyond the exclusive economic zone in the ocean. And there is an issue of our border with Somalia that is going on, and our claim is before the United Nations. So land, we have a lot, but look at how much we are. Why are we poor? And yet when you look at tables like this, Kenya, the land area, the population density is not very bad, but compare us with France. About the same size of country. They have double the carrying capacity. But look at the last figure. Something is wrong. And this is why I believe we fought for a new constitution. Because the figures of land, the densities, everything is going for us. But Professor Njoroge, the College of Architecture first and later engineering, must tell us how to improve these figures. Look at Sweden, it's a smaller country. Japan is smaller, but very high density. Look at Norway. Look at all these figures. And Norway was transformed through prudent management of their oil and gas resources. They found oil probably in the late 60s, mid to late 60s. Nigeria found oil 10 years earlier. But you will know that Nigeria, I can't even put it on this table. I dare not. So prudent management of natural resources is very important. Look at Great Britain, an island, a small country. But again, look at the figures. And then you come to Uganda, we go back to bad habits. South Korea, which we started off together. A very small country, 98,000 square kilometers, Austria, okay? Rwanda and Israel, similar. Look at the last figures. Students, you are the ones with the solution. And this Constitution, Rapid Results Initiative, is supposed to make all of us change the way we think, the way we do things in this university. I was asking our own principal, do you people realize what you're giving us a platform to do? Now, what do we know that we have in Kenya? Biodiversity in the widest forest and water towers. We've been hearing about Mau and the quarrels, political, about Mau evictions and so on. Remember, the waters of the Nile come from Mau. Moses was born there. Abraham drank that water. Jacob drank. Jesus learned to walk on it. It came from the Mau. This is serious stuff. We must preserve our natural resources, wildlife, water, industrial minerals and rocks. This country has got so much wealth. Ores, gold. The Rosterman mine produced for about 17 years 250,000 troy ounces of gold. And today a troy ounce, 31 grams of gold is costing about $1,300. And this was done in the 30s and 40s. That gold is still there. But if you go to the Rosterman mine, they now use it as a dumping ground for the garbage of Kakamega town. And the gold is still there. Gemstones, energy resources. This is where I think really we must move as the College of Engineering. Professor Odia, this oil must be engineered to leave Turkana to the coast. That's civil engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, chemical engineering. Why are we not seizing these opportunities? All these other universities, When they heard there was oil, everybody is pretending to give a course in engineering, petroleum engineering, even Kimari, everybody. But your college is very silent, and I know your principal has tried. We are the ones who are letting you down. It's a lot of money. Every barrel of oil is right now at about $100, and it will keep going up. Why can't we get a piece of that action? Coal in Ukambani, in a quarter of that block, it has been divided into A, B, C, D. In one of them, I think it's C, they have 400 million tons of coal. Now that means for me, power has to be generated. No wonder the president has said, in 4 years, and this is an open secret, the power costs in this country must be half of what they are today. That's why you hear them talking about the new 5,000 megawatts. The coal is there. Oil and gas we have. Geothermal resources. Wind, sunlight. Engineers, where are you? And that is the same thing, I think, more or less. Power, energy is a key. And we cannot get it. We geologists commend ourselves. We have given you 400 million tons of all these things we have discovered, yes. But then the engineers with their toothpicks ask us, alafu? Kwa hivyo, simuje kwetu. Because how do I turn coal into electricity? I must have an engineer, or 2 or 3. How do I get that oil from Gamia 1, 2, and the other wells? They have had 5 wells, 4 of which have struck oil. How do I get it out of the ground and translate it into power? I think we need to know anyway. Is there anything else? The role of the university, I think, is neither here we know. Internal governor, we are also landowners. There are many things the university could do. I actually don't know why they have the RRI. But we wait to see. So research and training, capacity building, all the engineers, geologists, all these professionals, lawyers. And everybody now is saying, I'm an expert in mining. No, you are not. Even I am not. We need to capacity build for these areas. So that must mean that we translate our curriculum and change and introduce new courses so that we prepare to take advantage of these resources. There is a rare earth deposit at the coast. You saw published 52.5 trillion shillings. I don't know how you count such money. And yet I know as an economic geologist that that is a small one. There are bigger ones in this country. If that is 52 trillion shillings, what about the others? So we are beginning in a new constitutional dispensation to identify opportunities that we did not know we had. But with that, we must be very careful in the governance of these resources. Somebody wanted to give the Qatari government the Tana River Delta, that they farm oranges. Tana Delta, I can tell you, has the greatest potential for oil and gas in this country. Wacha huko tunaipata. And Qatar is a gas capital of the world. Now, if you are going to give another government your land, and we know they are experts in gas, do you think they are coming really just to get potatoes? They know something. And as we see all these things, including the bombing that happened here, we must awake ourselves to the realization that this is no longer a poor country. This is no longer a joke. We need new engineers so that we can get a hold of our sovereignty and get advantage of these things. So, indigenous knowledge. And so on. Multi-skill, multi-dimensional approach, formulating of policies, consultancies. Many of us are just thinking about our own little juakalis and so on. The game has become big. And you students, you're going to university at a very good time. You have a new governance instrument, the new constitution. And with that, we have opportunities to really apply the knowledge that you're supposed to get. So if you are in that group of copying students, wachana na hiyo utoto. Become an engineer. We need every single one of you, including the ones from Kimathi University. And as I say here, for me, building capacity to take advantage of all these opportunities, we as a university are a very important call. And then the rest of it, leadership, leadership, leadership. And I'm here with Kamau, Weshige. We try very hard to do things outside in the land of antelopes, but we are always confronted with this selfish attitude. What is it in for me? We go with a good idea with him. I have this gemstone, and we can cut it, and these fellows always want, what is my cut? It is frustrating, and I know enough about, I think we should now become millionaires, come on. You know, the police boy is here, he's okay, but me and you are not. So, and thank you. So, natural resources.